Oh, wait. John's not here. Once again, unfortunately, guys, John couldn't be here this week. He is dealing with some car issue. So you guys understand real life happens, and he has been dealing with a lot of real life stuff lately. So he's sorry he couldn't be here. He definitely wants to make it. But he will be here next week, next Monday, to kick off our season 2 of Still Knick Fans. We'll come at you hopefully with some great news about the Knick games that happened this week to start the regular season, and with a brand new look. So, hopefully you guys like the direction of the show, and we're going to continue to keep putting out that Knick content that you guys like and love. So stay tuned. Now, that being said, we are wrapping up our New York Knicks preseason. You guys already know how it ended. In incredible fashion with Julius Randle hitting I keep calling it the buzzer beater, but it wasn't really a buzzer beater, but it's the last second shot. Let's call it a last second shot. Yeah, and you also saw my game recap where I talked about that whole situation, how we got to that point. It wasn't pretty. It's not something we should write home about and tell our friends and family, hey, we are balling out there, because we're not balling yet. But I still think we're going to get there eventually. I think things are moving in the right direction. And you saw how we came out in the third and fourth quarter. We took it to them, gave them the defense that we're used to giving these teams, and we wound up winning in the end. Yeah, it's just preseason, but hey, whatever. It's our preseason, and we like it. We love it. And Thibodeau wants more of it. So thanks again for tuning in. And without further ado, I want to jump right into our special guest for this week's show. We have none other than, you know him as Uncle Fulio. That's right, Josh, a.k.a. Uncle Fulio, the host of The Controversy on the NBK Network. What's up, Josh?
What's going on, everybody? What's up, Ron? How you doing, man? Long time coming.
All right. Thanks for being here. Shout out to the chat real quick. I see oh, look at that. It's John in the chat. What's up, buddy? Good to see you, man. Wish you were here. Yeah, man. So thank you for being on. It's definitely a pleasure having you. Been trying to figure out what was going to be the best way to kind of get some of the NBK talent on here, because there's a lot of scheduling conflicts, because there's so much jam-packed content on Mondays. But luckily, Tony was able to do it last week, and then we were able to get you this week. So thank you once again. Appreciate you for being here. How's your day going,
man? No problem. So far, so good. I mean, it's Monday, it's the beginning of the week, so you know how that goes already, but, time is moving very, very quickly. I'm sure if it was just a new year, couple months ago, so to speak. And now we're all the way almost at Thanksgiving, in the holiday time frame, you know what I mean? I'm starting to feel that chill outside, the leaves are coming down, so time is moving very, very quick. And, it's time for Knick basketball, man. I'm excited.
Yes, sir. I'm excited too, man. I can't wait. And I know you were able to do your show today, The Controversy, and I got to watch what you were talking about. And I think you did a really good breakdown of how you see the season starting and where the Knicks are going. And I'm going to ask you to elaborate a little bit more on that here as well, if you don't mind. But just your overall, idea of what you saw in this preseason through these, first 4 games. What do you think of the makeup of this current Knick team? Like, how do they look to you, honestly? Because I know that the other thing about, what's been happening this season is we're really excited about all the different changes, the new look offense, and hopefully the same type of defense. But you know what? It's still a work in progress, and we've seen kind of the growing pains. So what do you think about this current team, after what you've seen in the preseason?
Well, first and foremost, I mean, with the acquisition of Kimball Walker and Evan Fournier, that's definitely an upgrade over Elfrid Payton and Reggie Bullock. There's no question about that. My questions coming into this Knicks season was, how is this team going to be able to gel? Because last season, a lot of what the Knicks did was based on chemistry, that camaraderie that they had. And how are the Knicks going to be able to replicate that with 2 new pieces, right? Subtract 2 and add a new 2 pieces into the mix. And so far, it's worked pretty well. We've seen in that first preseason game, the ball was just moving around. Knicks ran kind of like a Golden State, San Antonio kind of offense where people were moving without the ball and the ball was just moving, pop, pop, pop. And they were getting shots up early in the shot clock. And that led to them scoring, what was it, 125 points the first game or something like that, something crazy.
125, yeah.
Something crazy, right? When they were averaging just over 104 to 105 points last season. So the ball was definitely moving. Right. They put up a lot more three-pointers, and the pace definitely improved. Last season, the Knicks were 30th in NBA in pace. Season before that, they were 29th. And, after the first two preseason games, they were top 5. Right, so those were the big things that I definitely was looking forward to seeing, and the Knicks definitely executed that. We didn't finish the way I would have liked with the last two preseason games. Got off to slower starts, but still, the Knicks' ability to beat you in multiple different ways, right? You still have Julius Randle to close games out for you, but throughout the course of the game, the ebbs and flows, the ball's moving around, so it's kind of an equal opportunity offense where everyone get a chance to touch the rock, and on any given night, any person can be the leading scorer. So I just think the biggest thing I take away from this Knicks team in the preseason, they can beat you multiple different ways on offense. It's not just going to be these defensive battles anymore. They can really outscore teams now.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. I think that this team has shown a propensity to score in big bunches when they get going. And it kind of, a lot of people are referencing the Golden State Warriors, maybe the Atlanta Hawks, and because, they have similar systems. And I think that's probably right. And you also mentioned the San Antonio Spurs with the ball movement and the open looks at the 3-point line. So, yeah, I definitely think that's what Thibodeau and the Knicks organization is trying to do with this team. I think they brought in the right type of pieces to execute that. And I like the fact that some of these guys are able to do more than just shoot that 3-point shot. So this is all the things that we were kind of looking for and hoping that we would have, after the poor performance in the playoffs against the Hawks last season. So far, so good. Things are moving in the right way. I wanted to tackle, before we get into the season preview and predictions and everything, I just wanted to tackle and put some of these things to bed because there's a lot going on right now. There's fans that are very optimistic about what to expect from the Knicks and what they'll be doing. But then you got another set of fans that are never happy with anything, and they always see the bad in what's going on. And then you have the other set of fans that they're not just happy. They're like, okay, now it's time to trade this person, bring in these people, and we're going for the championship now. So I kind of wanted to touch on a couple different things and kind of give it, a little bit more context and let's level things out a little bit because it's a little crazy. First off, I think we should address, and I'm bringing this person first because I think he's the biggest person that people are talking about that they shouldn't be worrying about, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Who knows? Maybe we have some fear. And that's one Mr. Evan Fournier. I think a lot of fans are jumping out the window saying, we're paying this guy a lot of money, which we are, and that, he sucks. So quite frankly, they're just, point blank, that's what they're acting like he sucks. Like if he's not an NBA player, like they didn't watch him light us up in the Garden many times in the past with Orlando. He went to the Celtics and he only played 16 games. Of course, I think at some point maybe he was dealing with COVID as well, because I know that was going around over there with the team. But he only actually played 16 games. And if you look at those 16 games, he started off a little slow in the first few games, and then he started to get a pace. And then by the last 7 games, he started to be in the flow. He had a couple nice nights where he was like 19, 20 and 8. He had one game 30 and 8. Actually, he had a 20 and 8 and a 30 and 8 back-to-back against the Miami Heat, which is a great defensive team. So it just shows you got to give the guy some time. And once he starts going, he can, acclimate himself well, and you get what you expect from him. But enough about what I'm thinking about Mr. Evan Fournier. I want to know how you feel about him. What do you think as far as, was this a good signing for us, or, did we mess up with this one?
So, just to back up a little bit, like, so when the Knicks, during, free agency night or whatever the case may be, everyone was so anxious. The Knicks bringing back Nerlens Noel, they're bringing back Alec Burks. I thought it was okay. They're bringing these guys on back, part of the camaraderie, a part of the bench. And then they spent the bulk of the money, the bulk of the $54 million they had in free agency on Evan Fournier. At first, I was really a little bit disappointed. A lot. Actually, it was a lot. I was very disappointed. Not from the simple fact that Evan Fournier can't play. He's not a good NBA player. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that they spent the majority of the money and they didn't address the number one concern, which was the point guard position. And I thought that Evan Fournier, to me, even though he's better offensively than Reggie Bullock, he's not the same defensively. He's not going to guard the opposing team's best player. So to me, it was kind of a lateral move in the sense that, we really didn't improve, in my opinion, right? Combine that with the fact now, the next day, combine that with the fact when you added Kimball Walker, I was like, okay, yeah, this team definitely did something in the offseason. But to me, Evan Fournier is just kind of those middle of the pack kind of players. I think he can definitely score. When he gets hot, he gets hot. He can light up teams for sure. But he's just not a difference maker for me for this Knicks team. Preseason, he didn't really perform that well. He had in the first game, he shot the ball a little bit better than he did the rest of the games, and made a few defensive plays or what have you. But Evan Fournier is not going to win you any games. He's just a nice, solid, piece to have on your roster in the starting lineup as an upgrade over Reggie Bullock offensively that can help this team score more points. But if he's not doing that, what else is he really giving you besides a locker room presence, so to speak? So it's going to be interesting to see how Evan Fournier, how it works out with him, how he's able to gel with the rest of the offense. I think for the simple fact that the Knicks move the ball around a lot, he's going to have his fair share of opportunities. He's going to have a lot of opportunities to score and show what he's really about. I'm not going to go too crazy over the preseason games of what he didn't do. I think there's a lot of time this season for us to be able to find out. But right now, I'm not oohing and ahhing over Evan Fournier. I never really was. I think he'll be a solid piece when it all comes down to it.
Okay. And that's a fair take, because you know what? Evan Fournier is a C plus B minus level star, I would say. He's not a superstar, but he's a nice complementary piece to any team's roster, I would say. Obviously, what you're getting from him. It's more on the scoring end. It's not the defensive end. He is a pretty good facilitator. He just knows how to move with the ball. Now, do you think that even from what you've seen in the preseason, he had one good game, that first preseason game, and the last three were stinkers, basically. The last one being the worst. I mean, do you think that's the type of player we're getting, or you just think this is more of a preseason thing and he hasn't had a chance to really find himself in the offense yet?
I think it's the latter. I don't think he's going to stink up the joint. I hope not. I think it's going to take some time for Evan Fournier to really get used to everything. The flow of the offense and things of that nature. But I think there's going to be multiple opportunities for him to prove what he's worth. Right? He has the ability to score. There's no doubt about that. This guy is a career 17 point per game scorer, if I'm not mistaken. So the guy can put the ball in the hole. The whole thing is just him getting used to everything and the chemistry. And I think all that stuff will come, after a while. And if that comes, then, so be it. I think that's a positive for this team. But if it doesn't, expect to hear those boos coming down from Madison Square Garden, because they come quick. And they are ferocious when they come.
Yep. That is correct. It's not the worst place to hear the boos. When it comes to Knicks basketball, they're a little bit more forgiving than like Philadelphia, but still very bad. You don't want to hear the Garden turn them. It's not a nice thing. So Knicks fans out there, just if you haven't heard already, this is from the horse's mouth, Mr. Evan Fournier himself. He said, "Preseason is preseason. It's actually made to make mistakes. The main thing is to be yourself." So what he's basically saying, guys, is he's okay. He's not worried about it, so you shouldn't be worried about it either. Everything will be fine. He will contribute to us in the fashion that we expect him to contribute. Nothing less, nothing more. So everything should be okay. Now,
Ron, can I answer John in the chat? He said he likes my perspective. However, does he feel that Fournier can gel with this Knicks team and hit big shots when the game is on the line? I absolutely do. I think there's no reason for him not to. He's proven that he can be able to do that. I think there's no question about that. The question is when. When will it happen? I don't think it's a matter of if. I think it's a matter of when. And you never know if it takes him longer than expected to start to gel with the team, and those boos come down. Then I don't think that's much of a good thing either. I don't think that's going to do anything to help his confidence at all. So I think it definitely can happen. The question is just when at this point. And are Knicks fans willing to be patient enough with him in this contract that he got?
Right. No, I agree. It should definitely be one of those situations where it's a wait and see approach for us as fans. It's worked so far for us, right? We've been through so much, pain and turmoil over the years.
Tell me about it.
We got nothing but time. We might as well wait. So, so that being said, another thing that I wanted to get your take on, which is giving fans a lot of angst these days. They were excited, and now they're not so excited, and that was one Mr. Mitchell Robinson. We already know that he has a history of getting injured, and bad things keep happening to him on that front. And then it always happens when it seems like he's starting to get his whole game together. He's starting to ball out. If you notice, I don't think it's every single time, but a lot of times when Mitch gets hurt, it's right when he's going really good. Like he's starting to get double doubles, and he's starting to do, and then he gets hurt. So unfortunately, we know that that the Knicks have a bad string of luck when it comes to Mitch getting hurt, and he was last on the basketball court back in March, right? So he did play in the 4th preseason game. We got to see him out there. We all know about his weight gain. We know he's put on 30 pounds and 50 pounds actually in the last 2 years combined. So he's definitely put on some weight, and he's his body's getting used to it. He did not look in game shape. And he didn't really do much on the defensive end until possibly the 4th quarter. I think he had a block. And it's an interesting stat when you look at the Knicks and think, okay, I got Mitchell Robinson on the court, and Obi Toppin has 3 blocks and Mitch has 1. Like, what type of universe are we in right now? Something's not right? But
right.
So the point is, Knick fans are starting to lose it because they're going, okay, Mitch is back, but he looks slow. Is he the same Mitch? He can't jump anymore. He can't block shots. What's going on? He needs to lose the weight now. Like, what's happening? So fans are going crazy and they're freaking out. I want to know, what do you think about the newfound Mitch that came into camp and who we saw on this last preseason game?
So I wanted Mitch to gain the weight. I wanted him to gain some weight. But when I first heard the amount of weight that, the current weight that he is now, I was like, wow, 280 pounds for a naturally skinny, ectomorphic kind of body, real lanky. 280 pounds is a lot of weight to be lugging up and down the court. So that was my first thought about it. And then I seen him in the videos. He looks much more solid and filled out. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to get pushed around, which I think ultimately is a good thing. In regards to him, his impact on the team, there's no question that Mitchell Robinson can impact, help the Knicks in multiple ways. First and foremost, in the first half of last game, he had 5 offensive rebounds. In the first half, 5 offensive rebounds in the game against Washington. So he definitely can impact the game in that way. With the Knicks wanting to shoot a little bit more threes, I think he'll have a lot more opportunities to grab some offensive rebounds and get second chance points. We've seen what he did as far as that big dunk he had in the first half, basically, telling people to move out my way. This is mine. I'm going to take control of this paint. So I think all that is a good thing. Question I have for Mitchell Robinson is, can he be able to stay healthy with that newfound weight that he has? And that's a question that I do have because, with all that weight, it's just going to complicate things on a foot injury at that, on a leg injury. So, for a big man, that's the concern I have with him. I think the Knicks will be fine, whether he is playing or, whether he's not playing. I think they'll still be fine. But come playoff time, we're going to need Mitchell Robinson. So I'm hoping that the Knicks take it really slow with him. I was a little bit discouraged that Tom Thibodeau left him in the game for 26 minutes. Despite Taj fouling out, I feel like those minutes could have went to Jericho Sims a little bit, or they could have went with the Randall and Obi lineup a little bit sooner. So I think the Knicks will be fine. They can be able to hold the fort, but we're going to need Mitchell Robinson come playoff time So I'm just hoping that, they're able to relax him a little bit, limit his minutes, and then, take it from there.
I agree. I think that's the same. That's the same way we have to look at it. We just have to, once again, be patient. Everything will be fine. Things will work itself out. Let Mitch get his, body and this newfound weight up to speed with the NBA game, the pace and everything should work out okay. I don't think. Yeah, maybe he's lost. Of course, he's lost a step, but it's not necessarily all attributed to weight. It's attributed to rust. I mean, he hasn't been out there
Right.
in
Yeah.
an NBA setting playing against the defense. So it's all new. It's a new situation for him and this new body of his. So we got to give it some time. I will say though, for the fans out there that are concerned, it's always good to hear what these players think about their own games and how they're playing. And Mitch had this to say, in Mitch's words, of course. He's like, "Hey, man, for me to get the Defensive Player of the Year, got to get in elite shape. Run, run, run. That's the key to success in this league. Once I get that, I'll be dangerous. Let's go be great." So that's coming from Mitchell Robinson himself. He knows what's going on, and he can see how his play was in the last preseason game, and he's definitely ready to go out there and do what he needs to do to get in better shape and be better for our Knicks team. So let's work with him, guys. Everything will be fine. So that being said about Mitch, I think there's other great takeaways, positives, and there's negatives that happen throughout the preseason. I only want to focus on this one last one, and then we can jump into what the regular season may shake out to be and how we think things are going to be going, and that is Mr. Kimball Walker. Kimba was in a situation that was very odd to me. Okay, the last preseason game, he came out the gate. He seemed like he was trying to be aggressive. He hit a couple jump shots. He missed a couple shots too, but it seemed like there was a nice flow to his game. I think he finished with 12 points for the game, but it just felt like he was trying to get his shot together in the first half. He also had 6 assists, so he was facilitating. However, on the defensive end, he was getting cooked. I mean, it was horrible. I'm like, yo, don't get me wrong. I know Kemba is a defensive liability. He has a size issue, and I know that that's a problem. I know the defensive end, the two things that he's known for doing well is taking charges and getting steals. But maybe it's just that it's early, and it is the preseason, guys. So I don't want to jump out the window either. But it kind of seems like he's playing that Olay defense. Like Clyde likes to say that Matador defense. I call it Olay defense. Like he's just like opening the door and saying, "Come on in." Like I don't know what's happening. So I think that the Knicks do have a bit of a problem with him. They got to figure out a good way to kind of disguise him on defense, or at least give him the proper help so that it doesn't kill them as a team with what they're trying to do, which unfortunately that I think that stinks too. I feel bad for the rest of the team because somebody is probably going to depend on matchups. Whoever's guarding kind of like a weaker offensive player on the court that's around the perimeter is going to have to help and show for Kimba, because how else are you going to kind of stop whatever's happening? And if he gets beat going to the lane, you hope that you got your big man down there to be a rim protector. But what if it's one of those situations where you don't have Nerlens out there, Mitch is not out there, and who knows if Obi's in the game? I can't believe I'm even referring to Obi as a rim protector. But if you have this type of situation, once they get to the lane, it's a wrap. So I don't know, man. I don't know what do you think about what they can do with Kimba, Josh? Because it's less about what we've seen. Okay, now we see what we got. What are we gonna do with it?
So here's my thing. And this is all multifaceted, right? First and foremost, I don't care if Bill Russell's back there. You cannot allow opposing guards and wings to get to the paint at will the way the Knicks were doing in the past 2 preseason games. I mean, you just can't. That's just, it's not a recipe for success, right? And this is not just on Kimball. This is on all the Knicks wings and guards. Him, Fournier, RJ, and IQ, all these, the bench guys. You can't allow guards and wings to penetrate like that. It just opens up so much. And we've seen last season against Atlanta in the playoffs, Trae Young destroy us with the pick and roll. I mean, absolutely destroy us. So it's not, conducive to winning, first and foremost. Secondly, I just want to say we knew that this is what we were getting into when we signed Kimball Walker, right? People want to talk, all bad about Elfrid Payton, and I understand why, but Elfrid Payton brought some toughness to this Knicks backcourt. He just did. And people don't want to admit that. That's controversial for me to say, but it's the truth. Elfrid Payton did not allow opposing guards to get to the paint at will. That just was not happening. He was a very tough. He may have a little bit more fouls than he wanted to, but he was a tough defending guard. Okay. So listen, I think really the Knicks just have to work on it in practice. Tibbs just have to, work these guys and get them, to fighting over screens a little bit harder. Because what he did in the last game against Washington in the fourth quarter when he had the Obi and Randall lineup was they switched everything on the perimeter. Everything. They prevented those guards from getting in there by doing the switching. When the game starts to slow down, you won't be able to do that as much, right? The game slows down. Teams are going to exploit it. Teams are going to get to the paint and either set them up for the mid-range, set them up for the alley-oop, or set them out for a kick-out wide-open three-pointer and around the horn. Around the three-point line. So, that's what's going to happen when the game slows down. So what the Knicks have to do really during the bulk of the season, they have to, try everything. Switch everything sometimes, run a little bit more zone. I think the zone can definitely hide some of Kemba's weaknesses on the perimeter and the rest of our guards defensively. And just try to mix it up a little bit to give teams different looks because our man-to-man defense against the pick and roll is just not that good. And we got to find a way to at least, be formidable without that asset of our facet of our defense until the playoffs come around and maybe we can, get a Grimes or a McBride out there, someone who can be able to defend a little bit better. You want to take some minutes away from Kemba, and we can be able to go at it that way. So, I mean, there's multiple ways the Knicks can do it, but regardless, they have to get better at that side of it on the perimeter defense. There's no question about it. And it starts with Kimball Walker.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. This is what we're dealing with, and we have to figure out the best way to kind of work together and play strong team defense. Whether that means, covering up for certain deficiencies that maybe Kemba or even Evan Fournier may have. But also it's on the flip side, like Evan and Kemba have to do as much as they can to at least try to be a deterrent to these offensive players for the opposing team. Don't give me the Ole defense. I don't want to see that. That's not what we want you here for. We know you're not great defensively, but put your body in the way. Get that charge that we used to doing in the past.
Can I add something to that real quick, though? People have this common misconception that just because Mitch Robinson or Nerlens Noel is not there, that, that's the reason why all that stuff was happening. No, that's not the reason why that was happening. That is a problem. That is a chronic problem, right? Because I guarantee when Mitchell Robinson was out there and him trying to guard the pick and roll, you take him out of the paint, which means you're open to the lob and you're open to the opposing team getting offensive rebounds. So, just because those guys are there, and Mitchell Robinson can alter shots. But again, you throw something high off the glass. If Mitchell Robinson's defending and he's contesting, who's going to be able to grab the rebound? You know what I'm saying? So I think when you start talking about all these other guards in the Eastern Conference that are able to penetrate and get to the hole, Washington didn't have all their guys, but Bradley Beal's notorious for that. You got Boston, the Tatums and the Browns and Marcus Smarts, and Miami with Kyle Lowry. There's so many guards who can be able to just get to the lane and do what they want to do. And I think that's going to be a problem for the Knicks in the Eastern Conference. So we got to find a way to shore that up.
Right. I agree. Real quick, just want to shout out to the chat. Shout out Steven Mendez. Appreciate you. Salute. Thank you for tuning in. But I wanted to highlight because John from Still Knicks Fans is losing his mind in the chat right now. He does not want to hear me talking bad about Kemba. But listen, I like him too, man. I know why we got him. I know it's for his offense and not his defense. But listen, if his defense is a sieve, if it's opening up like the pearly gates, we're gonna have a problem, man. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it. And maybe look. All right. maybe it's not as bad as I think. It looked worse on that last preseason game because it wasn't just Kimba. Kimba was obviously the most egregious not playing defense. He was just the floodgates were open. But I already commented in the past. Randall missed a bunch of assignments. He was letting guys hit perimeter threes, and then he was getting out there late, and he was just kind of like whatever. He was playing real lazy defense. Then you had RJ missed a couple of assignments. He gave up 2 threes. Rose gave up a 3, but I'm not faulting Rose so much because I know Rose picked it up after. But the whole point is all this happened in the first half. It all happened around the same time. And then when you're dealing with all of that stuff and you see Kemba with the Olay defense, can't do it. I can't take it. That being said, I understand why we got Kemba. So hopefully, look, that's fine. If Kemba's going to give up some of these easy layups or maybe a jump shot that he can't defend because he's too short to defend the opposing player, fine. But I need to see it on the offensive end. And one thing I have noticed is that Kemba and Evan, both of them, have been taking between 9 and 12 shots a game. They haven't been really aggressive. So you can't make up for your defensive lapses if you're the scoring person, if you're not scoring. So you got to give me something. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. And a big shout out to Knicks 100. Appreciate you, bro. Thanks for jumping in. Josh, that being said, I think we've moved on. We've talked about the preseason. The preseason is in the past. We are here. This is Knick week. Regular season is coming in 2 days, Wednesday night against the Boston Celtics. I know personally that I know that the Garden is going to be rocking. It's going to be the first game. You got this whole new look Knick team. Well, it's not new all the way, but you got new pieces to the team. Kemba is coming home. He's extra excited right now. I mean, he's like, you should see him, man. They got him doing interviews. He's smiling. He's like, at a candy store right now. How do you think Kemba's going to come out and play in this game, being that it's his first game with the Knicks in the regular season at home against his former team?
Boy, I mean, this is the matchup that everyone has been hoping for in the offseason, right? You got Kimball Walker, who was let go by Boston to go to Oklahoma City. They traded him away to Oklahoma City. So he definitely has a chip on his shoulder. From what I understand about Boston fans, they really didn't like Kemba too much because of, his ability he didn't show up in the playoffs for them, right? So there's that aspect of it. And then you got a guy like Dennis Schroeder who, was picked up off the scraps, for less money than he wanted by Boston, right? The other team wanted to give him the big contract that he wanted. So I expect Kemba to be up for the challenge here. He's going to be fully rested. He's going to play. There's no doubt in my mind. I think he's going to be up for it at the Garden season opener. So I think Kemba Walker's going to come out and show out and ball out. And anything less than that will be a disappointment for me.
I agree with you. And, what better night to do it than opening night? I mean, it's also, this is a business too. I don't know how it works because, that's the other side of it. But I'm sure that the Knicks organization wants Kemba to ball out and have a good showing. I mean, he's their nice little shiny piece. He's come back home. He's here. So I'm sure they want a nice showing from him, and I think Thibodeau is definitely going to try to do his best to give him some good burn. I hope at least. He should be playing somewhere between 20, 25, maybe even close to 28 minutes for this first game. I think that how Thibodeau's not shy about playing guys. Do you want to burn them into oblivion? No, but it's the first game of the season, and if anything, the next game you could rest them a little bit more. You don't have to go too hot and heavy. But it's the first game. He's going to be excited. The adrenaline's going to be pumping. Definitely want to give him as many minutes to go out there and shine as possible.
But hold on, can I just say one thing?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say one thing. One thing real quick. I don't expect to see Kemba playing 30 minutes. If you see Kimball Walker playing 30 minutes a game in any game this season, I think he's taking the next step. I think he's
Oh
taking the
yeah,
next
yeah.
night off if he plays over 30 minutes.
No, I agree with you. I don't think he's going to be playing 30 minutes a game either. I don't think he's going to hit 30. I'm thinking he'll really be more around the 25 mark for this game. To me, that's a lot. But I
Right.
wouldn't be
For him, yeah.
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised depending on how the game goes, because this could be they don't have Jaylen Brown, but Boston is still a very good basketball team, and this could be a
Absolutely.
game that's pretty close going down to the wire. So he may need to be out there. We don't know. So it's just got to wait and see how everything shakes out. But what I wanted to ask you is, uh, being that we already kind of touched upon Kemba, his defensive deficiencies, and Evan as well, with his maybe what we expect him to do and who he really is as a player. We got to see Grimes do something special in that last game. Um, do you think that it's a matter of time before Grimes kind of supplants someone in the starting lineup?
Starting lineup, no. Not the starting lineup. Now, bench minutes, heavy bench minutes, I think there is a possibility for that. And the reason being is if Emmanuel quickly continues to shoot poorly the way he's shooting, and Tibbs really likes what Grimes brings on the defensive side of the ball, or you have a guy like Alec Burks that can miss some time for whatever reason, one thing or another, I think that's when you'll see Quentin Grimes in there because of what he brings on the defensive end and his ability to knock down shots. He doesn't look really lost out there. Played well with that group towards the end of the game. I thought that was a great move by Tibbs, putting them in there, giving the kids some time. Starting lineup though, no, I don't think he's ready for that kind of action yet, unless there's a significant injury and he's just able to pop instantly. And we got some sort of generational talent on our hands, neither of which I think is really going to happen this season. So no for starting lineup, but I do think he can get some time in the rotation based on the things that I mentioned about Quickly and Alec Burks.
So the question is, do you think that eventually he'll become more of a valuable piece and maybe take time away from Alec Burks?
Well, I don't see Alec Burks being here after next season. Alec Burks might be gone in the offseason, the next offseason coming up because of his contract. I think the reason why they signed Alec Burks to that kind of deal is so they can be able to move him, right? And that's not saying Quentin Grimes can't get moved either, right? But I think, that's the main reason why Alec Burks is here, for that continuity and also for the Knicks to have that two-way go. So in the event that Alec Burks isn't playing that well or another big fish comes in the market, Alec Burks' contract can be moved. And I think that will be a great time for Quentin Grimes to get his opportunity on the bench with that second unit, and be a heavy contributor with the second unit. But both of which can happen, like I said, this season. It can happen, next season if the Knicks decide to make a big trade. So it's definitely possible. I absolutely think it's possible.
Okay. And you mentioned Quickly as well. You think that Manuel Quickly is in trouble? Because a lot of people around the Knick community have been kind of saying that they're sour a little bit on Quickly, and they think that maybe he's going to get traded or should be traded, and they want to see obviously more Grimes, but they want to see Deuce too. So do you think that Quickly may be in trouble of getting out of here and being in Tibbs's doghouse, if you will, even though Tibbs loves him, but you know what I mean, like going forward?
No, I don't have a problem with Emmanuel Quickly. I think he is a lightning in a bottle kind of guy, right? There's going to be games where Quickly doesn't shoot that well. I think we've all accepted that. We've seen it last season. But when that guy gets hot, he can put up 25 like that in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So, and I think that's the value of having someone like Emmanuel Quickly on your bench, because in lieu of a starting lineup not scoring, or the Knicks starters having some issues scoring, you still have Emmanuel Quickly off that bench who can just light it up, can shoot from the logo, can be able to run the pick and roll. Still needs work on driving to the basket a little bit and finishing outside of a floater. But I think it's just a matter of time for Emmanuel Quickly to have one of those games where Knick fans are kind of going to be on his side again, and everyone is going to kind of keep it calm a little bit. So I'm not worried about Emmanuel Quickly at all. I think he'll be fine, to be honest.
I agree. I think the same thing, and I think that I think we're due for one of those quickly games where he has a moment where he lights it up. And I think that's what Knicks fans need to be reminded of. They need to see that Thibodeau loves quickly, not just for the fact that he's, has a little bit of a dog mentality and is kind of crazy like him, so to speak, but he
Right.
likes his shooting. He already said that he's one of the best shooters he's seen, and that's not for no reason. The issue is just that, let's not forget, he's not a starter. So this team is being built and revolves around what we've got in the starting lineup with Kemba, Fournier, Randall, RJ, and that's the question is who that fifth person is going to be on a consistent basis. But let's just say right now it's Taj Gibson for the the near future. That's what it's about right now. And then all the other pieces that are coming off the bench, Rose is probably the first piece off the bench. Like that's the problem. That's the reason why Quickly can't really expand on his offensive prowess, what he can do out there. He's got to fall in line. Yes. And that's sometimes we see him come in and start shooting from the logo because he just wants to get in the game and get something up. But what do you think Quickly would be doing if Quickly was in the starting lineup? Do you think that the Knicks fans would look at him and say, hey, Quickly's got to get out of here on the next plane smoking? Because I feel differently. What do you think about that? If he he won't be, but let's just say if he was in the starting lineup.
So first and foremost, when you said that, Quickly has to kind of fall in line, I disagree with that. I think the way this Knicks team is constructed, like, who the number one guy is, but the number two or number three guy, that's kind of all up in the air. Like on any given night, it can be anyone. So I don't think Quickly necessarily has to fall in line, because he's a second-year player and there's people ahead of him. I believe he has the ability to get buckets and become a second and third leading scorer on the team on any given night. I think that's definitely possible. In regards to your second question, I kind of forgot what it was, but wow.
Oh, I was saying, like, what if he was in? How do you think he would be performing if he was in the starting lineup?
Starting lineup, yeah. So I think that's a really good question, and I think that's something that Tibbs may have to consider at some point, because I don't want to see Derrick Rose in that starting lineup, right? And if you lose Kemba for an extended period of time, knock on wood, God forbid, you're going to have to fill in that starting lineup, with someone who's capable. And, I think we all had questions about Immanuel Quickley's ability to play make, right? We all were questioning his ability to make the right decision, playmaking. I think he has improved in that aspect. But my thing with him is always going to be shot selection, right? I wouldn't have a problem if Immanuel Quickley was a starter. But at the end of games, we got to have Kimball Walker in there. Got to have Kimball Walker in there for the decision making. And we will lose a little bit defensively, but like I said, there's ways where you can be able to hide that. But I think if there was a way for the Knicks to go out and play Immanuel Quickley, start him, give him starter, like kind of the Elfrid Payton treatment, which is, have him start the game or whatever and have Derrick Rose finish it or Kimball Walker finish it. I think that'll be, that's something that we may could, explore down the road for right now. But, right now, I think we're still a wait and see approach. We'll still have to see, but I don't think that necessarily be a bad idea, especially if Immanuel Quickley comes out hot and is knocking down them 3-point shots. That's going to be hard to deny, what he's going to be doing. So,
okay, I like that. I kind of think that if he's thrust into a situation where he gets to be be in a bigger role and have more minutes, I think we'll see a little bit more of what we saw in the summer league from Quickley, regardless of the competition. You got to see him have the keys and be able to try to orchestrate. So I think that's definitely something we could see more of. Knicks 100 said, but that's all Quickly's good for as far as shooting.
But that's good. That's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. But I want to say that I do think that, that's his specialty. He's a specialty type of player. But I looked at some of these preseason games, and I looked at his stat line up until the last preseason game, which was a poor performance for the most part. Mind you, he still wasn't in a plus or minus. He still had a pretty good showing. He only scored 5 points, but he didn't take that many shots, and he didn't contribute as far as an assist and rebounds. He had maybe 2 rebounds, and that was it, or 2 assists. But for the most part in these games, Quickly's been trying to do a little bit of everything. I think the third or the second preseason game, he had 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and he had maybe 12 points or something around that area. He's doing more than I expect because Quickly's not a big guard. He's actually, as far as size, I think, what is he, 6'3", 6'4", maybe? He's not a tall guard.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's getting rebounds and hustling, and he's also facilitating, that's all a good thing. So I kind of do think that if you give him an opportunity, he might surprise you. Not to piggyback on what someone else has said, but when you're trying to give interesting takes on stuff that is in a market where it's saturated, and you got so many Knick fans and Knick content creators, and we're all talking about the same thing, you want to come at it from different points of view, right? But earlier on Uncle Freezy's show, he had an interesting take, which I don't want to talk about that per se, but I want to use that with Quickly. He had said something about he thinks that RJ Randall might be able to have 3 triple-doubles this season. And it's an obtainable goal, but it's a nice benchmark for him in showing where his game can go. I say that if you give Emmanuel Quickly those type of starter minutes and consistent minutes, I think Quickly might be able to get those triple-doubles even before RJ. Because it's something about the way that I've noticed how he's playing and what he showed me in the summer league. He had a high stat line. It was close. It wasn't a triple double, but it was like, maybe 8 rebounds, 7 assists. I could easily see how he could get that triple double if you give him the keys or give him a position where he's out there 20, 25 minutes and able to move around. What do you think about that, Josh? That's my big take.
I don't see it. I'm trying to remember the game where Emmanuel Quickly got 7 rebounds. I think he just shoots the ball from the outside way too much to be someone to grab rebounds, right? Double-doubles, I can see it happening. I can see him scoring 25 and get like 10 assists or something like that. But rebounds, that's going to be the one for me. So I personally don't see it happening. I mean, if it does, great. Emmanuel Quickly is improving as a rebounder. He's able to bang down low and get some rebounds, but I just personally don't see that happening for Emmanuel Quickly. I think he's going to be a guy that can come out and light it up, can give you 25 in like a second half or something like that, and be able to get some assists based on his ability to penetrate a little bit more. And that's really pretty much it with Emmanuel Quickly. His defense has gotten better though, so I give him credit for that, but I don't see him being a triple-double guy.
And you know what? Normally, and probably realistically, I agree with you. I'm just on the what if. If you gave Quickly those type of minutes, I think he might surprise you and surprise a lot of us, being that he's in the terms of a triple-double type of guy, he's undersized. So, yeah, it's a little out of the limb, but it's just an interesting take when you look at what Quickly has done when he gets X amount of minutes. He puts up some really weird, interesting numbers that you'd be surprised that he's even doing that. So, all right.
Yeah.
I think that's enough about that. Being that we know the season is upon us and the Knicks are going to be dealing with some heavy competition. The Eastern Conference, I mean, the West has gotten better too, but everybody's clamoring about how much better the Eastern Conference is right now. So if you're looking at the Knicks on the whole, the type of team that they're putting together, you see the type of offense they're trying to implement, you see the defense that hopefully they continue to have going forward. Do you think that this team is still going to be a top 10 type of defense? Because I think overall last year, the Knicks finished 4th, if I'm not mistaken, or at least 4th in a lot of the main categories. They were number 1 in like opponents' field goal percentage, opponents' 3-point percentage, opponents scoring under, stuff like that. But I think overall it kind of finished when you put everything together, it was around 4th or 5th.
Defensive rating, I think, was 4th.
Defensive rating was 4th, right? So, do you think that the Knicks, being that we know that they've lost, Peyton and they lost Bullock, and they've got a little less defensive help, do you think they could still kind of finish in the top 10 or maybe in the top 15?
Top 15, yes, no question. I think the Knicks will be a upper echelon defensive team. No question about that. Just that based on who their coach is, right? They have Tom Thibodeau there. right? So they will give it their all on defense. They will stop some teams, but I don't think they'll be as good as they were last year because of their limitations on the perimeter. I think that's where they're going to allow teams to score a little bit more points. And for the simple fact that the Knicks' offensive pace has really picked up. So if the Knicks are making their shots, that's going to be more opportunities for the other opposing team to knock down shots. And when they start going up against the Brooklyns and the Milwaukees who can score a bunch of points with their shooting, I think it's going to be very, very difficult for the Knicks to hold teams down the same way they did last season. I'm not saying it's a miracle if they do allow it to happen because it's a Tibbs coach team. You expect nothing short of effort from this Knicks team, right, defensively.
Right.
But I think it's going to be much harder now with the pieces that they have and the limitations that Kimball Walker imposes on the team. So I think they'll be definitely top 15 or whatever the case may be. I think they can get into the top 10, all of which are really good numbers combined with their offense. So I think they'll be fine in that aspect. But they won't be the same defensive team as they were last year. I think they'll be up there, but not as successful.
Okay. That's a solid answer, man. Can't be mad at that. Can't fault it because you know what? If their offense is a lot better and their defense is still somewhere in the top 15, that still is a playoff type team and can still go pretty far depending on the level of play that they get to when they're in the playoffs. Of course, barring that they, believing that they'll make it, which we believe.
So I compare with the Knicks' potential. I think their potential for me, if I'm looking at their offensive and defensive, statistics, right, and what they could possibly do. I compare what they're doing to kind of what the Clippers did under Doc Rivers for like the last 3 or 4 years that he was there, right? They scored a lot of points. They had, their two main guys and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I'm not Kawhi Leonard. Yeah. What? I said Kawhi Leonard? No. I'm tripping. Yes, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. I don't know why I just drew a blank just now. But they can score a lot of points. They can score 116, 117 points a game, right? And they're still going to be formidable defensively because of the people that they have. Their whole team's to about 107, 108. That's really good. That's a net rating of 7 to 8 points per game, that the Knicks can be able to accomplish. I think if they do that, they can win 45 to 50 games. I think that's definitely possible, right? You don't have to be a juggernaut defensively, in order to do that. I think if they play solid defense, limit their turnovers. I think they were the lowest. Their turnovers per game was the lowest in the NBA during the preseason. So if they limit those offensive turnovers, giving opposing teams more opportunities, I think they'll be fine. So I think they'll be up there top 10, but as long as they're not awful, I think they'll be okay.
I agree with you. I think that's definitely a good take once again, man. Because this team is one of those that when you bring up the Clippers and how they play on the defensive and offensive end, but interesting thing about the Knicks is we played the Clippers very well last year,
right?
And caught some victories in the season, and at least I know we beat them once. At least I feel like maybe we played them twice. So I know we beat them once, but I'm not sure
we lost the game at the Garden. We lost the game at the Garden. They kind of pulled away at the end because their offensive firepower was just way too much. But we were able to score some points on them as well. So, but they just can kind of outfought us with their amount of guns that they have. They're able to just score at a rapid pace. And that's the reason.
But that is a good comparison because that's similar to what this team is. And Tom Thibodeau was, when he situation didn't work out with Minnesota, he was around that organization, and that's kind of what has helped him to become the Tom Thibodeau that he is, the lovable Huggy Bear Tom Thibodeau that we have in front of us.
Right. And it's funny, like I'm sitting there thinking, like I was like, Kawhi Leonard, he hasn't played for so long, I forgot he even played for the Clippers. I was like, what? Kawhi Leonard? I was like, yeah, he does play for the Clippers, right? Yeah.
Exactly. And who knows when we're going to see him? So
right. Exactly.
No, it's fine.
Exactly.
So let's just get this out the way right now. Every prediction show is going to do it. Might as well do it now. Although I'm going to do it differently.
Okay.
I don't want you to give me the exact number, because you know what? This whole year is going to be an interesting one, so we don't know what to expect. I want you to give me your over and under. Knicks 50 wins.
Under.
Under. Okay. All right. And why do you feel that way?
Because of the reasons that I mentioned about their defense. I think defensively we're a little bit limited, and I think there's going to be some games where we're going to drop the ball defensively a little bit. We're going to allow a lot of teams to get in the paint on us. That's not saying it won't be a high 40s, but I don't think we cracked the 50 game mark yet. I think the Eastern Conference is a little bit too tough, but I think we'll get close.
Okay. No, that's a solid answer. I can't be mad at that, because you know what? Last year, a lot of news media had the Knicks winning anywhere from 20 to maybe 32 games if they were lucky. But there was some disrespectful takes out there as far as what they thought the Knicks were going to win. So,
hey, I was one of them. I can't lie to you about that. I was one of them.
I could believe it, because I know how you are. So I understand that you definitely, you look at it a certain way. And from the data that you had, you said, you know what, this doesn't look like it's going to be that type of team. But you know what? Right. I'm glad they proved you wrong, and they showed you something that they were put together well. And Thibodeau's impact was a lot stronger than I guess a lot of people would have expected in one year. And that's why he won Coach of the Year. So
exactly.
Which is a possibility, because they are implementing a new look offense, and hopefully to continue that defense. He could be, in line to win Coach of the Year again if everything works out the right way. So we'll see how it all shakes out. I personally, when I give myself the over and under for 50 wins, I'm at 50. So I could, for the sake of this, little experiment here with regards to that, I'm going to say over, because I think they're going to win 50. And if they play, how I think they can play, they should win more than 50. But I think 50 is a nice mark. And when I'm listening to everybody else give their takes, it's either under 50 or it's over 50, 56, 54. A couple people said 60. Wow. I'm like, whoa, relax.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't know about all that. But yeah, I think, but that being said, if they won 48 games, I wouldn't be mad. I'd still be happy. It's an improvement from last year. Now, I don't want them winning 41 or 42 games. I'm not happy with that. We're talking about an extra 10 games, because we got an extra 10 games this season. Last year we were 10 games less. So you're telling me with an extra 10 games you can only squeak out another, victory or two? No, I can't see that. You got to give me 4 or 5 out of that 10. Split it 50-50. I'll take 50-50. That'll work.
So here's where I can understand where you're coming from, and I think it's fair, right? But this is why last season I kept saying it was all about the playoffs, because in the Eastern Conference there's going to be battles, right? There's going to be battles. You can get to a 7th or 6th seed and knock off a top 3 seed. That can happen. Mm-hmm. Right. And I think with the Knicks, the way they play so hard that in a first round matchup, if they face off against the right team who's not doing well at the time, they can be able to win that series. So for me, it's not about 41 wins. It's not about the amount of wins that they have, in the Eastern Conference or their seeding. To me, it's about, do they advance from out of the first round or not? Right. So for me, I don't look at the regular season wins. I think it matters when you talk about matchups, because the Eastern Conference is going to be all about matchups. But I think we kind of fell in love with 41 wins. Like, oh, we got to get to 50 now. To me, it's about getting past the first round, because you can win 50 games and still get smoked in the first round. So that's the way I'm looking at it.
That is true. That's a very good point. You're not lying when you say that. John in the chat says this year 52 wins, if not more. And we start this Wednesday with our first win of the season. Okay, John, tell them what you really think, my man. That's fine. I'm with you on that. Yeah. So, I mean, that's the thing. Like, it's a situation where we're talking now, we have an 82 game season. And if we say a team can win, say 50 games, That means 32 losses. That's a big number. I mean, 32 losses is a lot of losses. And I think that the Knicks might be able to pull that off. But that being said, I'm still okay with what you said. I'm still with it. I'm not opposed to it. I just think 50 is the number.
Ron, but think about it this way, right? In 2013, the Knicks won 54 games. They got to the second round. They lost in the second round, right? And everyone was outraged. Oh my God, this, and that, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, to me, like the wins to me just don't matter. It's what you do, what happens in the playoffs. I'm trying to get Knicks fans in that mentality of forget about the moral victories, right? I get it. Last season was the first playoff berth in 10 years or whatever it was. Everyone's outside chanting, we want Brooklyn after we beat Atlanta in one game, right? But for the rest of the series, we get smoked. We lose by 20-something points in every single game. And I was at game 4 in Atlanta. Right. It was bad. It was terrible. Right?
Yeah.
So,
wow.
So, but, to me, I just want to get in that playoff mindset. Like, these teams that are winning, they're not really concerned about how many wins they have during the regular season and all these moral victories. They want to win in the playoffs. And that's where, I'm trying to win because that's how you determine whether you're elite or not. That's how you determine how your players get paid or not. That's how you determine RJ Barrett's contract that's coming up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to get, people into that mindset. I understand the moral victories, but I'm trying to move a little bit past that.
No, I hear you, and don't get me wrong. I'm with you on that. That makes a lot of sense to me. My whole thing is I'm not so much concerned with the actual number as far as victories, which of course it's nice. It looks good. You want to be on the on the side of winning a bunch of games. I'm only concerned about playoff seeding. Playoff seeding right. To me is huge. It's one thing to have to deal with an Atlanta or a Charlotte or Indiana or one of these teams. It's another thing to have to play the Nets or the Bucks or the Sixers even, because say what you will about the Sixers' dysfunction, they're still a very good regular season team. They win games in the regular season,
Absolutely.
So I don't want to have to deal with those teams in the first round. So playoff seeding to me is important. And the only way to achieve that is to win, the most possible games in the regular season. That's why I'm on the line of 50, because I think 50, even though East is much better, I think 50 should be able to get you a 4th or 5th seed. I think. I could be wrong because, who knows? This Eastern we could have it all wrong. This Eastern Conference could be the new West. We could, by the end of it all, we could see, the Bucks with 60 wins, the Heat with 50. Like, it could be crazy. We don't know what's going to happen. So, I'm on the side of I want the Knicks to be somewhere in that mix because I don't want us to get that first round exit. I really want the Hawks again in the first round. If we can get that, that'd be great. So what we like to do is, we try to do a prediction every week about the games that are taking place in the week. And we go back at the next show and we look back at what our predictions were, and we say, hopefully we're correct in what we're predicting, but we use that and we go throughout the whole season. That's kind of the basis of our show. We give the news, we give you some info on the team and, what's going on, but we're more like a recap show. So that being said, the Knicks have 3 games on the docket this week. First game is against the Boston Celtics. Then we've got the Orlando Magic. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, it's a back-to-back with the Orlando Magic. It's a home and home. Right.
Yep.
So what do you think, Josh? Those 3 games, who do you think is going to win in each of those games?
Wow. So I was known last season on MBK as the guy that, root against the Knicks because they always win every time you root against them. Well, not root against them, but, don't pick them to win. But this year I'm going to be a little bit more realistic. Look, I think Boston is a really good team. They still have Jason Tatum, who is a superstar in the NBA. They still have Marcus Smart, who is a dog defensively. I like to pick up an Al Horford. I think that's definitely going to help them. And also Dennis Schroeder. I think that pickup helps them as well. They got a steady point guard there instead of throwing Marcus Smart out there to lead them in assists. I'm going to say the Knicks will fall to Boston in a season opener. They're going to fall 112 to 105, right? And I think that type of game right there will kind of, calm the fans down a little bit, calm them down, right? And then I think we go against Orlando. I think we sweep them 2-0, and I think we start off the season 2-0 after the first week. But I think we lose to Boston at home in the season opener, 112 to 105. Leading scorer of the game is going to be Jason Tatum. He's going to put up 30.
Wow. Okay. What? So wait. What's going on here? So John in the chat says Jaylen Brown will play this Wednesday. Is this breaking news? Is he off the COVID protocol? Because that
1 hour
changes
ago.
everything. Really? Wow.
That's what he said.
Huh.
So an important thing about this COVID protocol, I don't think Jaylen Brown is going to be as effective coming off COVID. We've seen when Tatum came back last year, he was not the same type of player. Same with Alec Burks. Takes players a little bit longer to get off from COVID, and I hope Jaylen Brown's symptoms wasn't as bad as some of the other people that I've heard going through COVID. So hopefully he's okay. But I think it's going to take him some time to still get back into the floor of things, get back into game shape. With that being said, I still think the Knicks fall to the Celtics in game 1.
Damn. Wow. I wasn't expecting this news, John. I didn't know that Jaylen Brown was going to be available to play. So you're talking about their two most potent scorers that, average like 50 points a game between the two of them. And the Knicks are going to have to face them on this Wednesday, should I say. You know what?
Yep.
I don't care. The Knicks is still going to beat them on Wednesday. I don't care who's out there. Okay. You know what? While you're at it, why don't you bring the Chief out? Go get McHale. I don't care who's out there. All right. Knicks is still winning on Wednesday. I still got them winning against Orlando on both games, home and away or whatever. So that's 3-0 going into next week. You heard it. That's what I said. I said it. So hopefully I'm right, but that's how I feel.
Definitely respect that.
We ain't never scared. So hopefully that's the case. And things turn out to be what I'm predicting. Now, before we get out of here, Josh, I wanted to ask you two things. One is, who do you think is going to be the most valuable player on the Knicks? Not for the league, just on the Knicks.
Oh, it's no question going to be Julius Randle. I think everything starts and ends with Julius Randle. There's no question. He is the closer. He is the alpha and omega on this team. There's no doubt about that. We talk all the time about the Knicks playing team basketball and them sharing the ball and being kind of an equal opportunity offense. I think that helps Julius Randle. Last season, we seen the team run isolation. That's how they scored the majority of their points, giving Julius Randle the ball. This year, they don't have to do that. They can do all of that, all the passing around. Guys get their opportunities here and there. But at the end of the game, so when the game comes down on the line, Julius Randle will have the ball in his hands. And I think that's going to be a significant part of our offense still. But this time, he won't be as tired. So no question it's going to be Julius Randle.
Okay. I like that take. I think that is probably the way most people would lean. And I would lean that way too if I wasn't such an RJ stan. So I'm thinking, at the very end, the most valuable player on this Knicks team for this season will be one RJ Barrett. I think that RJ is taking a lot of strides to improve his basketball game. He's learning, how to be a much better defender on the court. And he's working on that mid-range shot, which is still a work in progress. He ain't there yet. He's not great off the dribble. We still know he's still learning how to finish at the basket. That's something he's got to work on because he gets to the free throw line. I don't know, maybe 3-4 times a game, if he's lucky. He definitely needs to get to the line a lot more. And
absolutely,
he's definitely got to learn how to do something a little different with regards to finishing. Maybe he's not going to the rack strong enough. Maybe it's just one of those things where sometimes you just got to say, listen, I'm gonna dunk on you. Even if it don't happen, the point is you draw the foul, get the contact. And I don't want him to get hurt because what I'm really asking for him to do is kind of the same type of play that you would see a young Derrick Rose do, or even a young Iman Shumpert, if you want to look at a Knick. Because one of the problems with Iman Shumpert, he was the reverse. Instead of being timid, he would go to the freaking rim with reckless abandon. And that's why he wound up hurting himself. And he was kind of never the same. Once he got that injury, he never had the same bounce, and it just wasn't as explosive. And that was kind of the keys to his game. So I'm not wishing that on RJ. I just want him to kind of play a little bit more above the rim in certain, you got to pace yourself at certain moments. Say this time I'm gonna get a little bit more aggressive and try to draw the foul, but give myself the best possible chance to finish the layup as well. So I'm expecting more of that. I'm expecting better defense. I'm expecting a continued improved three-point shot, because as a catch and shoot type of player in the corner, or even he's getting better on the wing too. That shot is starting to become pretty pure. So I'm expecting more of that. And because of that, and the fact that we no longer have Alfred, what's his face? We no longer have Frenchie as a possible solution off the bench. And we definitely don't have Reggie Bullock. I think RJ's defense is going to have to be, a big piece of his game. If the Knicks are going to try to do anything, they need RJ to step it up. They can't just hope that Grimes is going to figure it out and be able to be inserted into the rotation. He's going to be the savior. No, they need RJ as well. So that's why I say that. But I could be wrong. We definitely know Julius is going to have a great impact. He's going to have to do less now that he has more offensive weapons. So we may see even more from him in different ways. But I'm going with RJ for now. And my second and last question with regards to this type of topics, who do you think is going to be the most improved player on the Knicks?
Obi Toppin. Obi Toppin. And I said that with no hesitation. Reason being is, I think, people expected Obi Toppin. He was supposed to be the most NBA ready guy last season, right? He didn't have a summer league, and he started off really, really slow. He had an injury, and he started off really, really slow. And then as the season progressed, you've seen him start to come out of his shell a little bit. This season, he had a summer league. We've seen what he's able to do. He can put the ball on the floor. He can still knock down the three-point shot, right? He's improved defensively. We've seen that in the preseason as well. And I think with the Knicks, being a deeper roster, I think Thibodeau can afford to rest Julius Randle a little bit more, therefore giving Obi Toppin some more time. And I think the more time Obi Toppin has on the floor, I think the better it is for him. I think he'll be better offensively. I think he'll be better defensively. And I think he'll get some major, major rotation minutes this season. Absolutely. So I'm going to say, without a doubt, it's going to be Obi Toppin, and that can only bode well for this particular Knicks team.
You know what? I mean, surprisingly, I didn't know that was going to be your answer, because that's my answer. I've been saying it. I'm going to keep saying it all year. This is Obi season, people. This is going to be Obi's year. I'm telling you, we're going to see some great things from the young Obadiah. I expect him to go out there and really get busy on the offensive end. And we're starting to see him kind of flex his, and spread his wings on the defensive end. I'm just expecting a lot of really good things from him. And I think that might be, one of the big keys to how this team can go, deep in a playoff series, maybe. You can't just do it. It's not about Julius Randle and RJ Barrett and Kemba and Fournier alone. Derrick Rose, obviously, we know he's going to be there. I mean, he's the stabilizer for this team, if you ask me. You need these guys, these second-year guys that you didn't see much from. Imagine what will happen if we get good production from Quickly, and Obi continues to get better and do what we've started to see from him already. If he's going to continue to do this, I'm telling you, this team is going to be a tough team to beat. So I expect them to go, pretty far throughout this season with, winning streaks, with home court advantage, and showing people that it's tough to win in the Garden. I expect all that from this type of team, because I think they got enough pieces that they can carry that all out. Josh, I want to thank you for coming on, buddy. It's been a pleasure. I appreciate it. Sorry we started a little late. Had a couple technical difficulties in the beginning, but we figured it out. Everything worked out fine. And, I think, I wish, my co-host John could have been here. I know he would have loved to be here. He's saying his thank yous. Josh, I appreciate you for coming on with us.
Thank you.
But it's definitely been great, man. And so I know you got, stuff going on, with your own show and everything. Tell the people a little bit about what you got going on.
So yeah, man, and Ron and John, thank you guys. We definitely got to do this again. This was fun, definitely fun, and I can't wait to do it. While the games are actually going on, so we can actually talk about the Knicks and live action. But once again, thank you. I had a controversy today, a controversy episode on the Nothing But Knicks channel. Please check that out. I gave my season prediction for the team. Not just their win-loss record, but also their standings and how far I expect them to go in the playoffs. I also did a preseason breakdown as well to break down how I felt about the preseason, some of the stuff you heard here already. But please check that out if you have the opportunity to. And, of course, on the MBK network, we do pregame and postgame shows, so definitely check us out there. You'll definitely see myself and Ron on some of those episodes. So we got some big things coming for you guys. And once again, I really just appreciate it, and I look forward to doing this again, guys. Thank you.
All right. Hang tight, Josh. Okay, don't go nowhere.
I'm not going anywhere.
Thank you to everybody tuning in. It's been a pleasure, as always. We're going to keep coming back every week, giving you more and more Knick content. Next week will be full strength. Hopefully, knock on wood. Hold on, where is it? Hopefully, John will be here as well. And we'll get back to our regularly scheduled show. And not only that, but next week is the start of our season 2. So look for a little bit of a new look with the Still Knick Fans setup. We'll also try to incorporate some new things with the show, make it more, exciting and more interactive for you guys. So definitely stay tuned. Thanks to everybody in the chat for coming out and supporting. Thanks to all the viewers. We appreciate you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And you know what? Tell a friend to tell a friend who tells another friend. We'll be here every Monday. I think next week we're going to go back to our regularly scheduled time, which will be around 9 o'clock, 9:10 or so. Yeah, it's rough on Mondays, but we're here. We know we're going up against Monday Night Football, but we're still here giving you that Knick content. So continue to tune in. Look for Josh, aka Uncle Fulio, the Controversy Show, as well as Nothing But Knicks. He's definitely a big part of the network. You see him everywhere. He's invaluable. So keep tuning in and supporting him. And hey, look for us, because you may see some bigger and better things from us on the side as well. So stay tuned. Take care. Thanks for tuning in. John, I'll see you next time, buddy. Josh, you as well, buddy. We'll see each other. And let's go Knicks. Take care, everybody.
Salute.
It's a litmus test just to see who's best. Roll the dice, break the pipe, and let's see who's next. Run a John on the mic, talking New York Knicks. We be rooting and recruiting for the boot camp clip. Take a step back, take a minute. Talk trash, but we in it. Let's go now, cause we winning. All you haters, gon' be living. Run amok, knuckle up, ain't no New York punk. Step it up, keep it clutch, have the Midas touch. Let it go, let it flow like the circus so late. Run the court, watch the show, we got something to say.